Disclaimer: efforts have been made to not to infringe with any copyright. If so, it may be brought to our notice for its acknowledgement in future editions. No part of this digital content be reproduced, stored, or distributed in any or by any means either on paper or electronic media unless authorized. Digital content for candidate with disability. Sector: Agriculture and Allied. Subsector: Agriculture Allied Activity. Occupation: Beekeeping. Reference ID AGR slash Q5301. NSQF level 4. Unit 4.5. Hello friends, welcome to an exciting session on management of honeybee colonies during nectar and pollen dearth period. So topics covered in this video are: number 1, robbing in honeybee colonies and measures to prevent it. Number 2, symptoms of queenlessness. Number 3, laying worker colonies. Number 4, getting rid of worker colonies. Number 5, preparation of pollen substitutes and feeding them. Robbing in honeybee colonies. Robbing in the apiary may be intraspecific, during which workers of stronger colonies start robbing the food from the weaker colonies of the same species, or may be intraspecific, during which worker bees of one species rob colonies of the other species. During rainy season, this becomes more serious, leading to general weakening of honeybee colonies. This can be prevented by adapting following measures. Number 1, hives should be made bee-proof, except the main entrance with mud, etc. Number 2, the main entrance of the colony should also be narrowed down to single bee space, so that only one bee enters or leaves the hive at a time. Number 3, feeding should be given only late in the evening in some suitable feeders inside the hive. Number 4, a bunch of grass, etc., soaked in crude carbolic acid, kerosene oil, or phenol should be placed in front of the entrance of the colony being robbed. Number 5, in case of heavy robbing, the entrance of the colony being robbed be closed with wire gauze and 1% solution of carbolic acid should be sprinkled around it, so that the robbers get repelled from the colony. Number 6, if the robbing does not stop even after following the above measures, the robber colony should be spotted out. This can be done by dusting wheat flour or sulfur powder over the bees at the entrance of the colony being robbed. Symptoms of queenlessness. Queenlessness is said to be the condition of a colony when there is no functional queen present in it. The presence of queen cells anywhere in the middle of the comb rather than on margins might be one sign of missing queen bee. Inter alia, the absence of eggs in the comb cells may also be one of the signs of queenlessness. The number of guards at the hive entrance of such colonies also increases. Since brood rearing in queenless colonies get depleted and may finally cease, the pollen incoming in the colony accordingly decreases and finally stops. Honey collection activities also dwindles. These colonies, if not requeened naturally or by the efforts of the beekeeper, become imperceptibly laying worker colonies. The laying workers are imperfect females which develop from the normal workers of the colony. Their ovaries get a little developed in the absence of queen substance, and these bees start laying infertile eggs, which give rise to drone of poor quality. The eggs by laying worker bees are laid in worker brood cells and are placed in a haphazard manner. In one cell, usually more than one egg is seen because many workers lay eggs in the same cell irrespective of the fact whether egg is already present or not. The eggs are also mostly seen attached to the cell wall rather than at the base, as is in the normal queen-right colony. The pattern of brood also looks uneven, irregular, and scarred in such a colony. It has been observed that in laying worker colonies, the honey and pollen is stored below the brood, contrary to storing of the formers above the brood in a queen-right colony. However, with the introduction of the queen, the storage pattern becomes normal. Reasons of queenlessness: improper handling, transportation, bee enemies, weather conditions, use of pesticides, robbing, swarming, and left of queen bee, and some of the factors are responsible for queenless conditions of the colony. Laying worker colonies. If a colony remains queenless for several days and is unable to rear new queen bee, some of the worker bees start laying eggs. These worker bees laying eggs under such a special circumstances are known as laying workers. Get rid of laying worker bees. The first step in handling these colonies is to get rid of laying worker bees so that it becomes easy for the colony to accept any help rendered by the beekeeper. The most effective, feasible, and practicable method of doing away with the laying workers is to shake the bees from all the frames a few meters away in front of the hive. The normal worker bees will fly back to the hive, whereas the laying worker bees, which are heavier, are unable to do so. and hence do not return to the hive. With this method, we will be successful to a great extent in eliminating the laying worker bees from such a colony. Get rid of drone brood raised from laying worker eggs. To do away with the drone brood of laying worker bees present in worker cells of the frames, for this, the raised sealed brood should be scraped off with hive tool or their cell sappings destroyed with uncaping comb. Normalizing colonies after getting rid of laying workers during breeding season. Giving egg to the colonies, this method can be adopted only if it is a breeding season and sufficient drone brood rearing in the apiary is underway. And another method is transplanting queen cells. Under this method, a sealed giant cell from some other colony is taken out and grafted into a queenless or laying worker colony to avoid the lengthy process of giving eggs and having the queen cells raised. Normalizing colonies after getting rid of laying workers during the non-breeding season. During non-breeding season, when sufficient drones are not available in the apiary, probability of successful mating of the virgin queen is very low, and ultimately the colonies would still remain queenless. Under such conditions, the methods mentioned below may be followed: requeening and uniting laying worker colonies. Preparation of pollen substitutes. The ingredient required for formulation of pollen substitute are brewer's yeast, skimmed milk powder, dehisced parched gram, sugar and distilled water. Preparation of pollen supplement. To prepare pollen supplement, add pollen 10% of the weight of the pollen substitute and make a dough. Feeding pollen substitute to honeybee colony. Fill the pollen substitute dough in a disposable plate and cover it with a sheet of butter paper. Pick the sheet at about 7 to 8 spots with backside of matchstick. Now place 2 thick twigs of top bars of the colony and place the pollen substitute filled plate upside down on these twigs and cover the colony. In the next video, we will discuss about insects, disease and nuisances management in beehive.